Hey everybody, welcome back. Saturday in the shop. We are going to take a little break from the Top Fuel bike this week and jump back on the Shovelhead Bobber refresh. Seem to have a lot of interest in that build, so we're going to jump back on that. I believe today we're going to get the new back wheel in. Well, it's not new, it's a back wheel I dug out of our stuff. It's a Sportster rear wheel, almost solid with some little slots in it. We're going to mount up the tire and look at getting the rear fender, Sissy bar, and all that stuff mounted today. And then see what else we can get into. Got a bunch of parts arrived, I believe, for it, so maybe we'll look at mocking up seat once we get the fender done and what have you. So anyway, that's the plan for today. We're going to see what we can get done, and we're going to get cracking.
Alright guys, so first things first, going to get this old rim and tire out of here. We're not going to use a spoke rim. So pop our fender out of place here. Just had that sitting there checking out how it was going to fit. Time will tell. It's not going to fit very well, but more of that coming up. So just checking out what we got for axle nut and grab some. So we got our axle nut off. Gonna slide our axle out. Pop this chain out of the way. This is just an old nasty non-O-ring chain. We will not be reusing that. So knocking all the spacers out. The brake calipers on the other side. So trying to get that loose from the rim. Get everything off so we can slide the wheel out and make room for our new rim and tire and figure out the wheel spacing for that. So we got the wheel out of the way, and this bike's got really good bones. Nice GMA rear brake caliper, but so much of the stuff was just terribly done. The brake stay arm, they drilled a hole in the axle plate and used just a piece of weird iron and nut and bolt. Just really kind of shoddy work. But anyway, we got that out of there. Here's our new wheel. So a sporty rear wheel. Kind of looks like a Fat Boy wheel, but if you notice, there's a small perimeter of slots around. So we're going to take the axle, slide it back through here. Obviously no spacers yet. Once we get the axle slid through, we'll be able to center the wheel in the bike. I usually just do this by eye. Sometimes I'll take a quick measurement, but the frames aren't always symmetrical in the back end, so sometimes it's easier to.
Alright, so we got our wheel fit in here. First thing we're going to do is measure for some wheel spacers.
Sure we got clearance.
Head over to the lathe and cut those up.
And we're going to start making our measurements for our wheel spacers. These are going to be a step spacer because of the non-sealed tapered bearings in this rim. So that has a shoulder on it that steps inside the seal, and then you'll have the regular wheel spacer, which we're going to make out of some 1.5-inch round bar. So nothing too spectacular here. Been on the channel a while, just seems to make lots of wheel spacers. But throw our round bar in the lathe. We're going to face it off. You always have to start with a nice square piece, so we get that faced off. Change our tool. We're going to cut our first cut here. We're cutting down from 1.5 inch down to just about 1 inch that fits inside the wheel seal. So take some decently heavy cuts, but it takes a little while to get down to that dimension we want. Once we get that done, we will pop the piece out, chop it off in the chop saw, flip it around. Again, face off so we have a nice square side. Check our length. We're going to go ahead and face off the extra material to get the length of the spacer we need. And once we have that done, we will move on to putting the hole in it. So it's a 3/4 inch axle. Not real hard. We'll start with a. So we'll make our final cut here. We got the length we need. We'll put our center drill in. And go ahead and center drill it. Then I'm going to use an 18.5 millimeter drill bit to a rough out. Switch that over to a 3/4 inch reamer and ream the hole to size. Deburr everything, couple chamfers, and we're ready to go back to the bike. So we're back over to the bike. Slide the axle out, gonna fit the spacer, checking for clearance on the oil seal. Had a little bit of a tight spot in there, so just knock the oil seal into the rim a little bit deeper. These Timken bearings are a little bit trickier to set up than a sealed bearing because the bearing does move in the race a little bit before you get the axle in. So anyway, dropping the frame down so I can slide the axle in easier. We got the spacer in, we'll slide our wheel in. Then we kind of load everything towards the chain side of the bike, and that'll let us measure for our brake side spacer, which is also going to be made from 1.5" round bar. And I use 1.5" because I always have my brake hanger hang on the spacer, and that's just the way I've always done it. So now that we got the wheel space, gonna slide this fender back in. Start looking at how we're gonna mount it. The bottom mounting tab on the frame was a good place to start.
Is that working? Oh, dude. You know what I'm even thinking about doing? Well, I'm not thinking about doing anything. I was asking you, thinking about you doing it.
How do you feel when you switch to Geico and save on your car insurance?
How you know you're going
For work, get your hair looks different.
to happy and then you get back on?
Just walked out of your house and straight out like So we got it mounted down low and this spot here, but this can still move side to side. So we're going to do a little middle mount. It's going to be something super simple. I'll cut a piece of plate on the plasma and do a couple bolts in here to secure this to the crossbar. And I think that'll kind of give us about what we want. Can hear a little tiny bit of rubbing somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where it is. Have to clearance up inside the fender a little bit, but plus once we put the chain on, the thing's going to get the wheel will get adjusted back and give us our room. I don't know, I'm kind of torn on this fender. This was that Sportster fender that was kind of all chopped up. He cut the side skirts out of it, and I like it because I like the look of the little rib here, but I don't know, it's growing on me. It's not quite wide enough for this Sissy bar. Of course, I hate using pre-made stuff, but trying to stick on a budget, I got this little drag pre-made rigid frame Sissy bar, and of course it's not quite wide enough. So that gives me a little bit of a problem on the fender here, but all right. So I've decided I hate this rear fender. Actually, I'd take that back. I don't hate the rear fender. It doesn't work with this Sissy bar. So I've got to regroup and decide, one, do I want to just make a Sissy bar for this bike, or maybe no sissy bar even for it and go Fender struts or something, or do I want to change fenders? So I'm gonna do a little decision making on that, and we'll have to come back to this. Also, last time I spoke about an electric start on this 4-speed, and the plan I had is not going to work. I mean, anything could be made to work possibly, but it's going to be way too much trouble. So decided I'm going to swap the ratchet top 4-speed out for a 5-speed Evo Softail transmission. Gives you a good electric starter, and because we're building this bike probably to sell, I feel it's pretty important to have an electric start. Selling a kickstart only bike is just not easy to do, so that's how that's going to go from there. And let's see if we can't get the handlebars mocked up on here, just kind of take a look at that. And I don't know, I'm waiting on the tranny plate for the transmission. I got an oil tank on the way. We got to get this old oil tank out, but we're going to try and figure out this sissy bar situation. So this sissy bar is not going to work with this fender. Okay. So the question is do we like the fender enough with the little bead rib that we should say fuck the sissy bar? You know what I mean? And then make...
Well, is the fender sitting too high?
Yeah, and it's too narrow. It doesn't really fit on this. So we can do this, and then this will kind of actually sit right, and then make a sissy bar, or keep the sissy bar and get a different fender, like a trailer fender.
I like the fender.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
And you notch it kind of to make it...
I mean, yeah, I could, but I ain't doing
too much
all
work.
that. Yeah.
I like the fender, and only because it's a Shovelhead, I think it should have a sissy bar.
Well, no, I'm saying I could make a sissy bar
Yeah.
though, a different one that would fit this.
Or do you want to?
Well, that's the, yeah, I mean, that's the...
What do you, bent rod with painted, or?
Yeah, I mean, which isn't, you know.
Which is still cool.
Yeah.
I think with a Mini 8, you probably should have a sissy bar.
Right, and this, I mean, it's probably a lot less trouble to just ditch that fender.
How much do you like it though?
Not that much.
Really?
I mean, it's not, yeah. It doesn't fit great anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know, and it's got to be like heavily body work because it's all beat to death.
so you're talking yourself out of it.
Yeah, I think so, which is nice. And
You got another fender here?
I don't think so. I might have ordered one the other day, actually, like, because I needed something for an order, and so I bought like a cheap flat fender, maybe.
It's not a trailer fender, is it?
Yeah. I mean, ish, you know, like
Yeah.
You got that trailer fender over there from that bike, just to see how it looks.
What bike?
And that, the funky CV there.
Oh yeah, where's that?
Yeah, if you're talking yourself out of it.
You want the water on my bike?
That's what I would do. Huh?
How come you're not wiping the water off my bike?
For me? I should be, huh? Glad I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Hey, when I have lunch, I keep an eye on your bike like that.
I'm glad.
He leaves it cookies on the floor in case he gets hungry.
Oh, sweet. So it's going to be that high?
Yeah.
Is that it can go down a little bit, like a 1/4 inch.
Yeah, but yeah.
You know, once you bolt it and snug it.
Yeah.
Too high?
Yeah, I don't understand why this thing's looking so goofy. This is the same sissy bar I used on the purple bike, which had this kind of fender, but I swear it doesn't have no gap like that.
No, the purple one doesn't.
Yeah.
You could always shorten this.
It's chrome.
I know that, but then just paint it.
The whole point of buying it is so that I don't have to do that.
Touch it. Yeah, I know.
But this pull that sissy bar out like out of the back.
You got it like a finger's width between this and the
Yeah.
fender.
Yeah, see, this is how this needs to mount.
Yeah.
This the purple one? Yeah.
I don't know, it's the fender that came on the bike. I don't really know what fender it was.
Right.
But yeah, like swing that sissy bar now. Does that go, will that go in there?
No.
No?
No, I'm way past over here.
Yeah.
You could probably get it in there. If you pinch this up, if you pinch that up some, that might pull that in
Yeah.
enough to put it in
I
there.
don't know, why is that?
Could you, just a question, could you cut this, shorten it enough, and get it up in the fender so you wouldn't have to fool with it anyways because of chrome, or would it just turn the chrome into a nightmare?
No, I mean, it's possible. I know what you mean, like hide the weld.
Yeah, cut it and hide the weld
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. This is why I make shit. Every time you try this pre-made crap, you end up with this. But all right, well, that'll work, I guess.
All right, so we're moving on from the fender and sissy bar issue for right now. Got these nice stainless steel risers and some aluminum riser bushings. I'm not a big fan of rubber or urethane riser bushings. I know they make the ride more comfortable, but I hate when my bars move at all, so I always run solid aluminum riser bushings. Pretty much every bike I ever built, I've done this way, unless somebody specifically asks for soft riser bushings. They're just not an option for me, so anyway, getting these things installed, I like the way they look. They're real clean and simple. They're polished stainless steel, so they're nice and heavy duty. I like the stainless a little bit better than aluminum riser bushings, especially using, or not bushings, aluminum risers, especially using the rigid bushings. You know, there could be some issues with thread fatigue over the years, so prefer stainless where I can, and this is one of the places. So, on these little 9-inch mini apes. I've used these on several builds. I used to run real tall apes, and these days they're just not comfortable for me anymore. I'm getting old, my back hurts, and the stretch isn't comfortable anymore. So I've been running mostly 9 and 10-inch apes these days. Sometimes 12s on a little bit of a larger bike, but to me these sizes just really work well. So anyway, this is sort of what we accomplished today. Fender and sissy bars still kind of up for discussion. There you see the bars. I think they're the perfect fit for this bike. And that oil tank is going to go in favor of a round one. And then quick mock-up on the seat using the old school Lapera seat, which I've been using a lot lately because they are super comfortable.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for today. Sort of a bust of a day, really. Got some things figured out. Got the wheel spaced at least. Got the tire mounted up. I normally don't use these pre-made parts and try and do that to keep with a budget. You know, it's a lot cheaper to buy a $110 sissy bar than to buy $110 worth of stainless steel and then spend 3 hours making and polishing one. So it's a little bit hard to sometimes get what I want using these pre-made parts, but we're going to try and push through using the new flat fender. We'll get it figured out and hopefully have something real nice when we're done. That's it. Feeling a little bummed on the whole project right at this minute because I hate when things don't go how I plan. But anyway, we'll power through. We got the bars mocked up too. See how those look. Got the seat on there and love the overall look of the bike. Just a real clean, simple, classic looking bike. And we've also got a few little cool custom details we're going to do on there that will be coming in the next few installments of this build. So anyway, as always, appreciate you guys being here. Hope you enjoyed watching, and we hope to see you next time at Gaddy's Garage.